ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ. So today I will give you the summary of chapter 4 of Pancadasi, which we completed yesterday. This chapter begins with the introductory verse wherein Vidyaranya talked about the subject matter being Dvaita Viveka. Discrimination between two types of Dvaitam, Ishvara Sushta Dvaitam and Jiva Sushta Dvaitam. In general, it is called Ishvara Sushta Dvaitam, it's a Madhyam Padalopi Samasa, so we say Isha Dvaitam. And Jiva Sushta Dvaitam, Jiva Dvaitam. We will drop that word in between, and this is called Madhyam Padalopi Samasa, Shaka Parthivaha. So Shaka Priyaha Parthivaha. So you remove that, Priyaha, so Shaka Parthivaha. It's like that. So now I will not say Isha Srushta Dvaitam, Jiva Srushta Dvaitam, Isha Dvaitam and Jiva Dvaitam. Anyway, and now he mentions, a purpose of Viveka also in the first verse itself, that one is a harmless, Isha Dvaitam is a harmless, and the other one, Jiva Dvaitam, is harmful. So like two types of cholesterol, HDL and LDL. So one you should get rid of, or because it is harmful, that's LDL, etc. And HDL is quite good. Anyway, same way here also Isha Dvaitam is harmless and Jiva Dvaitam is harmful. Because Jiva Dvaitam is basically cause of samsara, and therefore definitely you should get rid of Jiva Dvaitam. And thereby, samsara also goes away. Samsara nivritti is moksha, is mukti. Samsara means a bondage. Sense of limitation is samsara. That samsara is not there, sense of limitation is not there. Means I am limitless. So free. Anyway, so this he talked in first verse of this chapter. Then from verse 2 to 13, Vidyaranya elaborately deals with Isha Dvaitam, wherein he talked about Ishvara and Ishvara Srushti. Talked about more of Ishvara Srushti only, and mentioned in various Upanishads. He takes an example, he mentions Srushti, which is there quoted in various Upanishads, belong to various Vedas. So he gives relevant Srushti Vakyani also. And why? Because why he has to quote Veda for that? For Srushti is there, yeah, that's correct. But the Karanam of the Srushti is Ishvara, it's a Paurusheya. Ishvara himself is a Paurusheya, and therefore Isha Srushti, Ishvara is a Jagat Karanam, also is a Paurusheya. And therefore definitely he should quote various Upanishads mentioned in, they are there in various various Vedas. Well, that has to be brought in. He cannot say on his own that Ishvara is Jagat Karanam, because Ishvara is not available for Paurusheya, Pramana, for Pratyaksha, Anumana, etc. Pratyaksha, Anumana cannot prove Ishvara. In fact, it is very surprising. In Brahma Sutra, second sutra and third sutra, we Nayayika says Ishvara can be proven logically. We we argued against Nayayika logically and said that Ishvara cannot be proven logically. We proved logically to Nayayikas that you cannot prove Ishvara logically. Because honestly, it is so wonderful discussion there in Brahma Sutra, first chapter, second and third sutra. If anyone is interested, can go through. Well, it's wonderful thing. So, we should support. If somebody is proving Ishvara logically, we should support. No, Ishvara cannot be proven logically. We have proved with logic. that is the thing. Anyway, that's how you have to mention Upanishad. Then, well, once you have to say that Ishvara is a Jagat Karanam, Srishti is from Ishvara alone. That is, you have to derive it from the Upanishad and then apply logic. I mean, say logically that makes sense that Ishvara is Jagat Karanam. You can say that way. But independently, without quoting any Shruti, if somebody is, have an adventure of proving that Ishvara is Jagat Karanam, etc., or Ishvara can be proven logically, it is impossible. One should not try it to prove logically Ishvara. Because the very first thing is, you will define Ishvara as a Jagat Karta. But who says Jagat is creation? Is a creation. It is just just a big bang, and it is not created by something else. Creation means somebody has created. But how will you prove Jagat is a creation? How will you prove? You should have seen before the creation comes out. You should be a witness. Oh, that somebody is there and who is creating, like a pot maker is creating a pot. Nobody can prove. So the Jagat is a creation, itself cannot be proven. There is a question of proving creator. When you prove, if you somehow prove that Jagat is a creation, systematic creation, and etc., and then therefore there is a creator called Ishvara, then it is a different thing. But Jagat is a creation, who knows? Who knows? That's how scientists say it's just a big bang and things that took shape automatically, etc., etc. So this is a very, very difficult thing, except you bring in Upanishad or something. But anyway, very beautiful discussion is there in Brahma Sutra. Anyway, and then so if Ishvara himself is Apaurushaya, then we cannot talk about his Srishti independently. And therefore Vidyaranya quotes various Upanishads. And that how Ishvara created this world. And then he says, well, this Chaitanya Brahma plus Achetana Maya, together is a Ishvara, and this Ishvara with his Vikshepa Shakti is a part of Maya only, which is Vikshepa Shakti, creates this whole universe. And that too, there are two Srishtis, Bhuta Srishti and Bhautika Srishti. First elements are created and then elementals are created. And after creation of them, when same Ishvara lends Chidabhasa to every Sukshma Sharira and creates Jiva. So not only Ishvara created the Jagat, he created the Jivas also. So anena jivena atmana anupravishya namarupe vyakarvani, etc. In Chandogya Upanishad it has been mentioned. So up to anupravesha, up to the entry, up to the formation of a Chidabhasa is a Ishvara Srishti. Formation of Chidabhasa is nothing but then it says Jiva Srishti. So as many Sukshma Shariras are there, so many Jivas are there. In infinite Sukshma Shariras and therefore infinite Jivas are there. So up to arrival of Jiva is a Ishvara Srishti, up to formation of a Chidabhasa, up to entry of a Ishvara into a given Sukshma Sharira. This entry, etc., I have not to mention that there is no real entry, etc., all that, all these things. We have discussed also that there is no really jumping into, like somebody dives into a swimming pool, etc. It's not like that. There is nothing like that. Sukshma Shariras he created, and then outside he is outside, and then he thought, let me enter. It is mentioned in Upanishad like that only, that let me enter into this. Without that, what this Sukshma Sharira will do? All these senses are there, and mind is there, pranas are there. If he does not enter, they won't function. Shrotrasya shrotram, manaso manaha, vacho vacho. Ears will be able to hear, experience the sound when consciousness is there. And therefore, Ishvara thought, I have created all this. But without me, they are all useless. And therefore, let me enter. And as he entered, then, well, is Chidabhasa form. That is Jiva. So up to this is a Jiva Srushti. We should understand very well up to the entry of Ishvara into various Sukshma Shariras. And this is Ishvara Srushti talked about in this chapter from verse number 2 to verse number 13. Ishadvaitam. Then from verse 14 to 31, well, here we have a Jiva Srushti. Jiva Srushtatvaitam. And here Vidyaranya says when Ishvara creates this world, well, he uses his Maya Shakti. It is a humble principle actually. Maya is a very humble principle. It doesn't do any harm to Ishvara. And in fact, it serves Ishvara with her Vikshepa Shakti. Maya has two aspects, Vikshepa Shakti and Avarana Shakti. So in fact, this Maya serves Ishvara with her Vikshepa Shakti available to Ishvara. With that, he only creates everything. And only, his her Avarana Shakti, well, cannot affect to Ishvara. So Maya never brings out the second aspect, Avarana Shakti, to Ishvara. That's what Bhagavan also told in chapter 4. Ajopi san navya atma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavami atmamaya. Prakritim swamadhisthaya. I take this Prakriti, this Maya is under my control, and with the help of that I take any avatara, etc. And therefore that shows very clearly that Avarana Shakti of Maya does not affect Ishvara. So only the Vikshepa Shakti is there. With the Vikshepa Shakti, Ishvara creates. That's also aspect of Maya. So so moment Jivas then come into the being, all Jivas are uniformly ignorant. Avarana Shakti is also there. And so up to the entry of Ishvara into, consciousness into various Sukshma Sharira, that is the formation of a Jiva. And as the Jivas are formed, they are covered with the Avarana Shakti of Maya also. And so Ishvara and Jiva both have this kind of thing. Maya, basically Jiva is affected by the Avarana Shakti. Ishvara is not affected by the Avarana Shakti. It is only with Maya's Vikshepa Shakti he creates the entire thing. And so all Jivas due to this Avarana Shakti are uniformly ignorant about the real nature of themselves, that they are Brahman actually. So and then Jiva gets trapped. Chidabhasa has to claim, right? Any reflection has to claim that I am basically original. So a reflection of sun has to claim that I am basically the original sun. Well, but due to Avarana Shakti, these Jivas are not able to claim that about their own nature. So Jivas got trapped with this. So all these all this started actually by from the Anadi, from the beginningless time. And so then Jivas are Kartas and Bhoktas because actually their real nature has been covered, and so they became Karta Bhokta. Then they accumulate several Punya Papa, etc. And all these ignorant Jivas with all these karmas, when they look at the world, now the world becomes a Bhogya Prapancha because the karmas are there. Karmas basically brings a Sukha Dukha, etc. So same world, due to Jiva's own Kartrutvam, Bhoktrutvam and lot of karmas in the beginningless time, now the same world becomes a Bhogya Prapancha. For Ishvara, the same, when Ishvara looks at the creation, he looks at it as a Karya Prapancha, that I created everything and I am in all these forms. But then Jivas, when look up in this creation, same world, when Jivas look at this, at this creation, it becomes a Bhogya Prapancha, which are nothing but the objects of happiness and unhappiness, etc. So this is how, even in Shivanand Lahari, Shankaracharya ji addresses Lord Shiva like that. Kridartham srujati akhilam prapancham. Kridartham srujati. O Ishvara, O Shiva, O Lord Shiva, you create this entire prapancha just for krida, for the sake of sport. So it doesn't affect you, it means. Whereas, but for Jivas, the world is a object. They are affected by this world because it's a Bhogya Prapancha. So we should understand this Isha Dvaitam and Jiva Dvaitam are not two separate entities actually. one and the same world is Ishadvaitam, and from Ishvara's angle, and same world is a Jivadvaitam from Jiva's angle. And but then why Jivas look upon this world as a Bhogya Prapancha? Well, it is because of karmas of Jivas. And since karmas vary, the world remaining the same becomes a different type of a Bhogya Vishaya. For one, the same one object is a Sukha Vishaya. For other, it's a Dukkha Vishaya. So one and the same city, Bangalore. Somebody says, well, Bangalore is a really good weather, and Bangalore is this, and Bangalore is this. And the other one says Bangalore brings a asthma. It is true also. Many people get asthma in Bangalore because of certain that kind of a weather is there. So this is how it is. So basically, because of a different type of constitution, different types of bodies, so one and the same object becomes either a Sukha Vishaya or a Dukkha Vishaya. Anyway, before that, Vidyaranya presents a technical aspect also, how this the world becomes a Bhogya Vishaya for the Jivas. He says to give a Sukha Dukkha to the Jiva, world should enter into Jiva's mind. So in my mind it should enter. If world does not enter, it cannot give Sukha Dukkha. So it should, world enters into my mind, it forms, and a corresponding a thought arises of an object, and then it brings a Sukha or Dukkha. So basically the outer world, which is Ishvara Srushti, becomes a inner world, and then it gives Sukha Dukkha. And many things we are not aware, basically, then we are, they don't give us Sukha Dukkha, etc. The things which enter, can create Sukha Dukkha for a person. So whatever does not enter can't become this Bhogya Prapancha. And that's how we, in Shanti Mantra also we say that Bhadram Karnevi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyema. So let me see auspicious and let me hear auspicious. Means what? If the same the world which is there outside, if once enter into me, then it can bring even some kind of unauspiciousness also. So that's how there is a prayer also. Anyway, so through 5 sense organs, the world enters, and according to my knowledge, my misconception, my internal world gets coloration. And we have seen the example also that there is a one woman outside in the world, and she enters in the minds of 10 family members, and she becomes an angel, and somebody says she's very loving, and somebody says she's compassionate, and somebody says she's crooked, and somebody says she's very strict, etc., etc. So all this coloration happens once outside world, it's a one woman with the same height, same particular color of the skin, etc., and particular looks. That does not change, but it's still that the same object in a Ishvara Srushti can become an object of a Sukha Dukkha once they enter into our mind. So then coloration happens. That is Jiva Srushti. So anyway, and why why one and the same object brings Sukha Dukkha? Why? We have already told karmas and vasanas, etc. Vasanas also you have to include in that. And this is all Jivadvaitam. And this he analyzed between verse number 14 to verse number 31. So verse 2 to 13 is Ishvara Srushti. He quotes various Upanishads for Ishvara Srushti. Then verse 14 to 31, Jiva Srushti. Jivadvaitam. And then verse 32 to verse 37, Vidyaranya established that this Jivadvaitam is a samsara karam. So he mentions very clearly Ishadvaitam and Jivadvaitam. 2 to 13, 14 to 31. And then he says in between verse 32 to 37 that Jivadvaitam alone is a samsara karam. What enters to your mind basically, is subjectively perceived. So entry plus interpretation creates varieties of objects of enjoyment. Entry, first condition is entry and then interpretation as per one's own vasanas, etc. And of course karmas also. Then the object which has entered from Ishvara Srushti, becomes a object of enjoyment or a unhappiness, etc. And that is Jivatvaitam. Anyway, so if person does not enter, like you are sitting in a class, and somebody comes late and sit in front, but if your attention is there in the class, well, the person who has come late does not create any kind of a sukha dukkha. But suppose your attention goes to that person, and she is a woman, suppose, and then then she enters in your mind because you are seeing her, and then starts, because she has wear some what is that, diamond necklace, and you start thinking whether it is a real diamond or that, and then why she should come to the class with a diamond necklace, why she wants to show off and all that. So class is gone now. In New Srishti, and this one woman, there are other people sitting. You imagine, this is very wonderful thing. And the other person has also seen. She has entered in that person's mind also. And then she just goes out of mind because he is paying attention to the teacher. But this person, now once she entered and he starts thinking and brings a lot, he gets, basically some kind of an irritation for seeing her because she has wear a diamond necklace. So this is how it is. So one and the same person basically becomes either object of a enjoyment or object of the displeasure, etc., depending upon one's karmas and vasana. But then entry is very important. Entry plus interpretation becomes a bhogya prapancha. So that is how it is. Anyway, and this is been told in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita also by Bhagavan. He said, Indriyani manobuddhihi asya adhishthanam uchyate. So there he talks about that kama esha, krodha esha. So this kama, and object of enjoyment, kama. So he says first thing is what? See, he said these three things are irresponsible for jiva srushti, for bhogya prapancha. First is indriyani. Naturally, indriyas are giving a contribution by giving an entry. They are all gates. And so first entry through indriya. So that is their contribution is over. And thereafter they enter into intellect. And intellect judges as per one's vasana, whether good or bad, etc. And then, decides, okay, this is a good object, etc. And then mind starts doing japa. So indriyani mano buddhi. Buddhi has given a judgment. Buddhi has passed on a judgment that is a really good thing. And therefore then mind, until it comes to you, mind does a japa. Let me have this, let me have this, let me have this, let me have this. So all the three contribute. For bhogya prapancha, for jiva dvaitam, indriyani, manaha, buddhi, all have their own contribution, basically. And so jiva dvaitam is a samsara karanam. So that way they say, somebody told me that Swamiji, previous generations were really fortunate. Why? Because they were not in touch with many objects, because objects could not enter. In fact, in those days, from one village to the second village, even the message takes time to reach to the second village. Somebody died in this village, the people will know in the next village after some time. And now, right now, in this place, sitting in this room, whole world is with me. In this mobile, whole world. What is available right now in Costco is I can see here. This is how it is. And therefore person is vulnerable. Anything can enter now. Anything can enter. That way we are really unfortunate. And once it enters, it does its job. It is going to be a bhogya vishaya. Whether you like or dislike, that either way. But it is a sukha dukha vishaya. For sukha dukha vishaya, it has to enter. And for entry now, mobiles and all these medias, etc. are working very, very well. Anyway, so this is Jiva Dvaitam is samsara karanam. This is he told. Then he thought, let me prove logically that Jiva Dvaitam is a samsara karanam. I want to prove logically also. This is all we have understood, but still. And he gave a logic of Anvaya Vyatirika, if you remember. And we have seen the example of the two boys in a US studying together, at that time I gave something else. They were serving, etc., working somewhere in some company. Think that they are studying in the same university, and both have same names. One is from Tamil Nadu and the other is from Andhra Pradesh, but same name. And one of them actually died. But the person who got the news, he did not understand properly, and he called the parents of other boy, and told that your son has expired. Actually, he was alive. The other person has died, but he thought something else, and you can understand what could happen. And so, basically, the parents give their emotions to the boy who has entered into their mind, right, through the news. Actually, outside in Ishwar Sushti is alive. Nothing has happened to him. But the other person, but the father and mother, parents are broken totally because of that boy which has entered into your mind. So Jivatdvaitam alone is a samsara karanam. And then we saw other example also, that one boy has really died, and and the parents are there in India, and then definitely they some function is going on in the house, and this boy could not attend that because of he did not get leave, and therefore and his father was talking to somebody who has come in the function about his son, and they wanted to go after all this function is over. Within 2 months they want to go to US, etc. And they say, tonight I will talk to him and all this. Actually, in Ishwar Sushti, he is already gone, but his father's mind, he is alive, and so he is really relishing the memories with him, etc. And so that is how it is. So Jiva Srushta Dvaitam alone is a samsara karanam. So verse 32 to 37, Jiva Srushti samsara karanam, he proved with Anvaya Vyatireka also. Then, that's okay. Jiva Dvaitam is samsara karanam, but we want now samsara nivrutti. What should we do, etc. So that is the main section of this chapter, and that is verse 38 to 66. And is the most important, is the central theme of this chapter. Brahmajnanena Jiva Dvaita Nivrutti. Brahmajnanena samsara nivrutti, but samsara karanam is Jiva Dvaitam, and so Brahmajnanena Jiva Dvaita Nivrutti. Vidyaranya says, since Jiva Dvaitam is a cause of a bondage, you need not do anything. With respect to this, you need not do anything with respect to this Ishadvaitam. Means your perception, etc., perspective requires this refinement in form of just Jivadvaitam. And he made 3 statements. If you remember, that world which is Ishadvaitam cannot be removed, Ishadvaitam need not be removed, Ishadvaitam should not be removed. And the removal of Ishadvaitam means removal of Guru, Shastra and everything, which is actually required for the moksha. And therefore, Ishadvaitam should not be removed, etc. And the next point he made it also very clear to us, that Jivadvaitam should be and can be removed also. The next question is, if Jivadvaitam should be removed, how many methods are there? So Vidyaranya says there is only one method, and that is Brahmajnanam. Because is this Dvaitam Satyam or Mithya? Is this Jivadvaitam Satyam or Mithya? If it is Satyam, it cannot be removed by knowledge, any kind of a knowledge. If it is, because what cannot be removed is Satyam, Abaditam Satyam. So, Ishadvaitam cannot be removed because, basically, Ishadvaitam can be removed, because it is Mithya. But we are not interested in removing Ishadvaitam. Jivadvaitam, which is actually a Bhogya Prapancha, we can remove it because understanding them as a Mithya. So Mithya Vastu can be removed by knowledge. And that's example is Rajju Sarpa, etc. Rope snake. So rope snake can be removed by what? By Irula tribe? No. Irula tribe, there is a tribe in Tamil Nadu. For them this snake is a delicacy. And so wherever they see snake, they catch it for their own purpose. So, well, the Irula tribe also cannot remove, take away this, rope snake. Then this Garuda mantra cannot remove them. Then stick cannot remove them. Nothing can. So only rope snake can be removed by knowledge of rope, nothing else. And therefore, only same way if this Jiva Dvaitam, which is this world only, but with this Bhogya Prapancha, well, then definitely that can be understood as a mithya. So by understanding that everything is one thing alone, and that is Brahman. And then when we were talking like this, one yogi comes, and he suggested that don't do all this kind of thing, gaining Brahma Jnanam and all that. I will sit in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and I will negate the entire world. So world cannot enter into me because I am in a Samadhi, etc. If entry itself is not possible, where is the question of a Jiva Dvaita? So entry plus interpretation cannot be there for me because I will go to the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc. And we said, well, that's correct. You can go to Nirvikalpa Samadhi, but how long you will sit? And even if you sit for the whole life, well, your sanchita is very much there. Your earning is very much there. And so next life, next janma would be there. And so you will have to face this world. And therefore, it is not the solution. Nirvikalpa Samadhi or etc. is not solution. But then my Samadhi etc. has no relevance. No, it has a relevance. It has a relevance, but for preparing yourself, but not for gaining Brahma Jnanam or for removing samsara karanam also. Well, for removing samsara also there is no purpose. Nirvikalpa Samadhi cannot remove samsara. Anyway, so that's how Brahma Jnanena, well, only by understanding everything is one thing alone, what appears as duality, etc., is a mithya, the Dvaitam is a mithya, etc., and thereby Jiva Dvaitam can be removed. And thereafter, this Jiva Srushta Dvaitam or Jiva Dvaitam was divided into three types. First is a Shastriya Jiva Dvaitam, second is a Tivra Shastriya Jiva Dvaitam, and third is a Ashastriya Manda Ashastriya Jiva Dvaitam. Of this Shastriya Jiva Dvaitam is this Vedanta Vichara. Tivra Shastriya Jiva Dvaitam is a Kama Krodha, etc., and or Malam or Asuri Sampatti, etc., talked about in chapter 16. And Manda Shastriya Jiva Srushta Dvaitam is Manorajyam, Vikshepa, murmuring of the mind, etc., or a disturbing thought patterns, etc. And then he dealt with each one of this Jiva Dvaitam. First he dealt with Shastriya Jiva Srushta Dvaitam. And he says, well, you don't drop this immediately. Even though Vedanta Vichara also is a bondage ultimately, being Dvaitam, but you immediately you should not get rid of it. In fact, you should grasp it. You should take that Dvaitam, Shastriya Jiva Dvaitam, and with the help of that Shastriya Jiva Dvaitam or Vedanta Vichara, gain Brahma Jnanam, and then you can drop it. That is what he said. So, because you need not depend upon Vedanta Vichara once it gives you Brahma Jnanam, because it is not required anymore now, and so therefore you can drop it later. And then he quoted several Upanishad Vakyani also, if you remember. He gave an example of a paddy. Out of that you take away the grain and remove the husk. Same way, you take away this, you gain a Brahma Jnanam, which is in the form of a grain, and remove the husk. And then this Vedanta Vichara, etc., well, is like a husk. And then they give another example also. After drinking, tea, coffee, etc., dispose of a disposable cup. Imagine, you get a coffee, and you are told that this is a disposable cup. You have not drank, but it has been told that this is a disposable cup. So right away you don't dispose along with the coffee. So it is disposable after drinking coffee. We should understand very well. It is not disposable before drinking coffee. Okay? Therefore, same way, Vedanta Vichara is a disposable cup. But there is a coffee. Which coffee? Advaita Amrutam. Right? there is a nectar. Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim, etc. etc. You remember. In Gita Dhyanam it has been told very beautifully. So this nectar is there. So drink nectar and then dispose of. Not before. So anyway, Vedantin won't do, but anyway. So then that is how even Upanishad says this is a disposable cup. Vedanta Vichar is a disposable cup. Where? In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad this has been told. It is disposable cup? Yeah, it has been told like that. Tatra Vedaha Avedaha Bhavanti. While describing Sthita Prajna, very beautifully says, Veda says Veda becomes Aveda. Veda themselves say that you dispose us. You dispose us, he says that. Amazing it is, right? The Vedas themselves say that we are no more a pramana for the person who has gained the knowledge. It is useless later. Anyway, then second Jiva Srushta Dvaitam is Mala Nivrutti. Mala Nivrutti. There is a Kama, Krodhadi, etc. And Vidyaranya says this should have been done actually before you expose yourself to Vedanta Vichara. But because it's a qualification for Vedanta Vichara. And if not, then if Kama, Krodha, etc. their Malam is there in the mind, then this Jnanam, person will be able to appreciate, understand because of the background. Because everyone has, nowadays formal education. And so one who has a little formal education and that too some science background means he will be able to appreciate immediately. Of course, but then the Jnanam you will gain, but Jnana Phalam will not be there. If Malam is there, Jnana Phalam, Mukti, etc. will not be there, Samsara will remain. So how to remove that? Then Vidyaranya says this has been discussed in the Shastra. And in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16 and 17 are basically meant for this, for removing this malam, kama, krodha, raga, dvesha, etc., irsha, everything, shadripus. And I will give you 5 methods are there. It's just 5 methods to handle this kama, krodha. And the first method is called viveka. So, understanding the cause, nature and consequence of each positive and negative emotion, and more you understand and you dwell upon that, more you understand or more you dwell upon the consequence, more you dwell upon the cause of every emotion or nature of every emotion, your mind will incline towards a positive emotion. In a modern language they call awareness program actually. So when something is not good even for the society, and they are not able to ban it. Like I give you example of a smoking. Smoking is is not good. But the cigarette, then government should ban the cigarette manufacturers. Government should not allow manufacturing cigarettes. But on one hand they are allowing the cigarette manufacturing, and on other side they give a statutory warning also that cigarette smoking is injurious to the health. Right? So this is how it is. What I am saying is, ultimately, it is an awareness program. Awareness program. I mean, government, hands over the total responsibility on the person. They cannot impose. Anything enforced won't work. Anything, it is taken voluntarily. If person understands voluntarily, then definitely it will work. Voluntarily, you can give it up. Not if it is enforced, one cannot give it. And therefore, basically, same thing with the liquor. Liquor also. They are allowed. Liquor shop, government liquor shop. In India, some of the cities have a government. And our Swamiji, Swami TV, he says, in India, even the liquor shop has a name with the Lord. Venkatesh. See, this is how it is. Anyway, barber shop also has Narayana barber shop. Anyway, what I am saying is, so awareness program. Viveka means awareness program. Things are there, but you will be made aware, and so that you can voluntarily give up. So this is regarding both types of emotions. you will be made aware in terms of the cause of every emotion, nature of emotion, consequence of emotion. Will be told to you by Shastra. Shastra has so many awareness programs. And so then it's up to you whether you want still smoking or liquor, etc. is up to you. Same way here also. To keep the negative emotions in your head or not, that you decide. We won't enforce you. That's what it is. So first method to handle this malam or tivra ashastre jivadvaitam is the viveka. So out of my conviction, understanding the nature, consequence, etc. and the origin of emotion, well, I can give it up. Then second method of handling this is a pratipaksha bhavana. For every negative thought, practice a relevant, this appropriate positive thought. When you tend to hate someone, then deliberately you entertain a good thought about the person. That's called pratipaksha bhavana. So, practicing a relevant opposite thought. When any negative emotion arises, you can do that. This is the second. Third thing is a prayer. And prayer also. We have so many prayers like that, where you pray to Ishvara for making your mind more refined, more pure, etc. in terms of positive emotion, etc. Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaha temai santu. Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaha. In Upanishads, etc., whatever the dharmas, whatever the virtues have been told, temai santu, let them be in me, etc. That is there. And there is a very beautiful, a work by one of the Shringeri Acharya called Kamalaja Daitashtakam. And and there is this prayer is there. Vidyam Shuddham cha Buddhim Kamalaja Daite Sattvaram Dehi Mahyam. So Kamalaja Daitashtakam. Kamalaja means which is born of Kamalam, is a Brahma. And Daita means a wife. So a wife of a Brahma, that's Saraswati. So there is a prayer to Saraswati here. Very beautiful stotra. And there it has been, a seeker prays to goddess. Oh goddess, please give me this Vidyam Shuddham cha Buddhim. Shuddham Buddhim. May you give me purity of the mind. Means make my mind free from the malam. That is tivra shastriya jivadvaitam. This is a third method, prayer. Fourth method is a sankalpa. Sankalpa means auto-suggestion. Works very well. And so daily morning do the sankalpa, practicing a particular virtue during a day. That's all. Like today I won't criticize anyone. Just live day by day. People, what happens is, we think all the virtues should be there in me right now, and they should stay throughout the life. And that thing doesn't happen. So people become, frustrated. Take any virtue and observe it for a day. That's all. Next day, next virtue. Third day, third virtue. We have a virtues. And therefore, so many virtues are there. So whole month program can be done. Therefore, in fact, 13th chapter itself has a 20 virtues. So out of 30 days, 20 days are covered. And therefore, another 10 virtues you will get from 16th chapter, 17th chapter. Abhayam yoga samsthitihi, etc., etc. Abhayam yoga sattva shuddhihi, etc., etc. So many are there. And so nothing to worry. Take a virtue for a day. So it's an auto-suggestion. You give yourself in the morning that today I will observe this. Then next day something else. Okay, this is the fourth, sankalpa. Fifth one is a satsanga, association with the good people. So basically will bring goodness in you. That in the Kerala there is some saying like this, that even a stone becomes a fragrant when you keep them with jasmine flowers. So stone starts giving you a fragrance, and therefore our mind, even if they are of a stone, a kind of a thing, when we associate ourselves with good people, automatically they get a goodness. So like that, these are 5 methods to handle this tivra shastra jivadvaitam or kama krodha, etc. And so Viveka, and then second, second is this Pratipaksha Bhavana, third is a prayer, fourth is a Sankalpa, and fifth is a Satsanga. Anyway, finally, after handling this Tivra Shastriya Jivadvaitam, now finally he talked about Manda Shastriya Jivadvaitam. So it's a wandering mind, restless mind, etc. etc. And he prescribed Ashtanga Yoga or Nididhyasanam, Samadhi Abhyasa. Nididhyasanam are of two types. One is a Samadhi Abhyasa. Please understand that. Samadhi Abhyasa means you sit in a given posture, etc. and then do. If you can't sit, you can lie down also. You can walk. We have seen that. You can take a walk also on a trail and then think about all these things. We have seen. Or you can, through Ashtanga Yoga, you systematically go to Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc. And if you want to really see Nididhyasanam versus, and that too Samadhi Abhyasa Nididhyasanam, Vivek Chudamani is the book in which Acharya has dealt elaborately about this Samadhi Abhyasa Nididhyasanam, almost 150 verses out of 500 and odd number. And almost it starts with verse 255 to 415 or something. So these many verses, 150 verses nearly, talk about Nididhyasanam, and that too Samadhi Abhyasa Nididhyasanam. Certain allied subjects are also discussed there. So as person practices this Nididhyasanam, dwelling upon this Vedantic teaching, in fact developing the capacity ultimately to remove this Manda Shastriya Jivadvaitam. So may you practice this Nididhyasana Samadhi and Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Ultimately, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not yoga's Nirvikalpa Samadhi. We have discussed, because I am using this Nirvikalpa Samadhi and Nididhyasanam alternatively, because we have already made a foundation where in chapter 1 of our Pancadasi I have discussed how Nididhyasanam converts into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc. And what happens really in Nirvikalpa Samadhi of a Vedantin, I have already discussed, so I am not going back again into that thing. Anyway, and Sarvakalpa Samadhi also paves the way for Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So then, with the help of that, may you win Manorajyam or Manda Shastriya Jivadvaitam. And once this Malam and Vikshepa, Manorajyam means Vikshepa or Manda Shastriya Jivadvaitam, when both go, then Jnanam will become Jnananishta. Why? But how? From where Jnanam has come? Yeah, we are already addressing that Madhyamadhikari who has done Shravanam and Mananam, who has gained Jnanam, but assimilation is not there. So same samsara is there. He learned Bhagavad Gita with Bhashyam 18 chapters, all 18 chapters 3 times, and Upanishad Bhashyam also he has done 5 times, and Brahma Sutra also he has done, and still same angry fellow, same angry. And people also are tired of him, family members, and he is also tired. To such a person we are addressing that these are the issues, and therefore better you handle them. And why you should handle? So that at least the dignity of the Shastra is maintained. Because looking at you, people don't come to study. So basically, anyway, so if you have removed this before Shravanam, fine, Malavikshepam, etc. Or else during Shravanam itself, or after Shravanam, enough, you have done enough Shravanam, but did not have an assimilation, did not have a fruits of this Jnanam in terms of Jivan Mukti, etc. Well, then try this. This is there. This is the cause. And this you gain Jnana Nishtha. Jnana Nishtha means Jivan Mukti. This is from verse 38 to 66. Then verse 67 and 68 is Phalam. Jivan Mukti is a Phalam. Result of this Jivadvaita Nivritti. And Vidyaranya made very beautiful remarks also, that previously I identified with Ahankara, and then then I gained Jnanam and this Mukti also. And then you gain Mukti, you become happy also, because you have made yourself free from the bondage. Because in contrast to the bandhanam, you are seeing this mukti which you have gained. And therefore, well, definitely you are feeling very happy. But once, then later on, that mukti also becomes it's your nature actually, but it remains natural. And therefore, you won't claim that I am mukta also. And we know this thing, right? We are facing, in our day-to-day life also, when we face certain problem and it remains for a long time, and then it goes away. Then we definitely feel relaxed. And when we look back to that problem, now and in contrast to that, definitely you will feel relaxed, and so you will enjoy that kind of a relaxation. You will, because you have become free from the problem. But later on, it becomes a usual thing for you. So initially you feel excited, but definitely after even the problem is forgotten and even the excitement also has gone, etc. Same way, this mukti also is exciting in beginning because you were feeling bondage, earlier. And now, after gaining mukti, as you look back, bondage is also a fun for you. Mukti is also mithya, bondage is also mithya. And so you don't drop, and you drop even the claiming that I am mukta, etc. And ultimately, jnanam and mukti belongs to ahankara, and therefore the person disidentifies with ahankara because ahankara has become enlightened and become lightened, and therefore it has gone. Enlightened ahankara becomes very light because three things have gone from that. Ajnanam has gone from ahankara, malam has gone, and vikshepam has gone. So it becomes very light. And that light ahankara, really, you give it up. Anything light or healthy, you don't identify. And we have seen the example of body also. When body is very, very comfortable in terms of health, etc., we don't identify. But when we get fever, we constantly identify with the body. So anyway, so he is no more a Brahmavit. Initially Brahmavit. That I know Brahman, etc. But then later on, he is Brahman, not even Brahmavit, because disidentified with the ahankara. Brahmavit means he is a knower of Brahman, means in ahankara. So this is phalam, very beautifully said in verse 67 and 68. It's a very unique thing, right? That person even disidentify with ahankara also. To identify with ahankara is still ajnana, actually. That's what it is. And therefore, I never got that such a beautiful thing, which Acharya has brought out. This person doesn't. That's how I was wondering earlier that why they call he is Brahman, he is Brahman. He is Brahmagnani. Why people, in several places in Shastra, they said he is Brahman. He's just Brahman. Then we were thinking, but now we know he is not even a knower of Brahman. That knowerhood also is an ahankara. Then if you identify with ahankara, still ajnanam is there. So he is Brahman. But then ahankara is there because he was telling that, I am going to US and I am doing this and I am doing that and I am acharya of this and etc. That is all bhadita ahankara, mithya ahankara. And mithya, being mithya, it will be there. But why it should be there? Because prarabdha is there. Okay? So when the body drops, that aham also will drop. And therefore, he is no more. Till the prarabdha is there, this bhadita ahankara is there. Bhadita sharira is there, bhadita ahankara is there. Ahamvritti arises because of the body. It's a medium. And therefore, so it will remain. So body remains, then even the body is mithya, it remains or not. Anything mithya means it will remain. It will be available for experience, but you don't have any tangibility, you don't have any reality for that actually. Anyway, so very beautifully discussed verse 67, 68 about this phalam of Jivadvaita Nivrutti. Jivadvaita Nivrutti, that is a phalam, or Samsara Nivrutti is a phalam. And in verse 69 he concluded that saying that I did this Dvaita Viveka for elimination of this Jivadvaitam. And so may this chapter 4 help the student to be free from these three types of Jivadvaitam ultimately, and from samsara also, because Jivadvaitam alone is a samsara karanam. And so I have shown the methods I have identified for you, separated for you this Jivadvaitam from Ishvaradvaitam, and Ishadvaitam cannot be removed, should not be removed, etc., need not be removed, and let it be there. And but these three types of Jivadvaitam, Shastriya, and two types of Ashastriya, Tivra Manda, etc. Well, I have shown the separation between them ultimately, and shown you Jivadvaitam is a samsara karanam, and how Jivadvaitam can be removed, that all with the Brahmajnanam, etc. All this I have shown you, and so you be free from that and be free from samsara also and gain moksha. That's what chapter 4. Okay, now we'll start chapter 5 from tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.